still an ongoing battle every single day, knowing that it's like I'm doing the best that I can, but it doesn't always mean that I'm doing the right thing every single time. But the main steps to doing that is recognizing that, for one, it was like, for me, my abusers, it's like I recognize that somebody did that to them. You know what I mean? And it's like somebody hurt them, and which means that they're perpetuating that. So I can choose to perpetuate the hurt and the anger and the fear and all of that, or I can choose to truly accept myself for who I am and say it doesn't matter what they say, because it's only them perpetuating the lifestyle that they've been given. And it's it's a mind thing. Like it's certainly a whole completely mind game, but at the same time, I just choose not to play into that and recognize that these people are just people that are hurting. It's never, and often it's a mirror for me to look and go, okay, well, what am I not doing, and what am I judging, or how am I perceiving this in a way that, is my perception is my reality. So I I just choose to have a different reality than allowing everybody else to take my power away from me. I lived like that for way too long. So.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Truth That Heals podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Anthony Hernandez, and our guest today is coming all the way from Canada, and she is working at Soul Oasis Healing, and her vision is to help you reconnect with your true self, clear the energetic and emotional blocks holding you back, and guide you toward living a more aligned and joyful life. Please welcome our guest today, Olivia Gracelin. Olivia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And to get started, can you walk us through what actually is it that you do at Soul Oasis Healing? And do you have any other projects besides Soul Oasis Healing that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Soul Oasis Healing, I am an intuitive healer, a medium, a psychic, and all of those wonderful things. And through that, I help people overcome obstacles and blocks and really dive into what's holding them back, what is keeping you from living your best life, and what is not serving you in this moment. And I was graced with being able to have a client this morning, so I have all of it fresh in my mind to help go through that. Yeah. And as for projects and stuff coming up, I'm actually going on tour doing three mediumship. Also, we are also comedians, but we will be doing live tours throughout Canada for this year, and yeah, kind of just checking out different areas across the country.
Okay, so it sounds like you're very busy bringing smiles and giggles to people, but also helping people find the ability to reconnect with their true self and to align. So we're going to get into that because I would love to explore what this all is. But first, I wanted to go back, and something I'd like to do is kind of understand the why of each guest. So right now, you're doing some work to really help people spiritually. But how did it all start? Like, is there a why? And if so, can you help us understand what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was brought up in a split home, and through that, I ended up being abused for quite a few years in multiple different ways. And it wasn't by my parents or anything, but it forced me into a lot of like really dark places and things that like I knew there was blocks, and I was creating these patterns in my life that just created absolute hell, just to put it plainly, in my life. And when I met my current partner, Neil, he helped me understand that there was something wrong, for one, that people don't just go through that and not tell anybody, because I hadn't told anybody for 18 years. And but yeah, I went into therapy right away when he was like, okay, it's time to, start talking about this stuff. And therapy was great. It was all good. However, I did find that it lacked in a few places. And a lot of it was just, they deal with so many different types of traumas, and people that have, like, and the people that you've had on your podcast through the cults and all of the different things that they've overcome. It's like, they have great skills, but they are also kind of like a broadband. So when I decided that there was more to it than just, go in, lay on a couch, relive my experience. There's got to be more to life than that.
Yeah.
So we started looking into different things. We looked at like plant medicines and did different stuff like that. And through that, all of my gifts started to unfold when I started to actually like address and dive into my traumas and understand what they were. And through that work, it's given me so many skills to be able to, help people through Soul Oasis that they just, it is almost always, I would say like 100% of the time. I'm not even gonna say almost always. It's always like 100% of the time. We see like physical, emotional, like massive change in people when they come in to either see us for a plant medicine ceremony or sit down with me on a one-on-one. So there's massive benefits to what we're able to offer everybody. And it's been amazing watching it all unfold the last couple of years.
Yeah, awesome. And a word that you mentioned there a moment ago was block. Can you explain a bit about what you mean by that and what does it look like?
So a block is typically something like when you experience a deep trauma, there's always like a residual pattern that's created. And through that pattern is a belief that you are either not worthy, you've been abandoned, you've been XYZ. There's like 1,000 different things that I could list out here. But basically, the block is overcoming that belief system. And a lot of people believe that that block is an external block, but it actually is very internal, and it's been created by what you've experienced. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's like I mean, I get it. The people that have survived trauma, it's really difficult to even like imagine trying to be like, oh, it's okay, like it's okay with that. But coming through the blocks is understanding what it is, why it's there, and how it can serve you versus how it can rule you. So that's what those
And,
blocks look.
and you mentioned about, trauma being around these blocks, and
Yeah.
sometimes trauma kind of going the opposite direction of what you said, because you're trying to help people reconnect, but sometimes trauma can rule over a person's life and control the narrative. So for you, despite having those blocks in your life, what were the steps, or what did it look like now going in the opposite direction and trying to remove those blocks, or maybe not remove, but discovering them in the first place?
Yeah, so the first ones that came up were obviously the very like visual ones. So it was like when somebody would tell me, um, well, they'd be like, "Oh, well, the project that you're working on, you screwed up on." And it's like, oh, immediately I went into like fight or flight. I'm like, nope, fuck you. I didn't screw up. Like this is not, I didn't do that, like, and then try and smooth the situation over or shuck the blame or whatever. So the first step was really just recognizing those patterns and really just understanding that the patterns existed because I put them in place for protective mechanisms. It helped me get through. It served a purpose. I'm still here. I'm still living. So the first step was to recognize those patterns. And then the second step was to radically accept myself the way I was. So it wasn't just looking in the mirror one day and going, oh, I love you. It's, because everybody goes, oh, when I am, X amount of weight, I will love myself. When I, achieve this goal, I will love myself. Or when I'm this, I'll be more desirable or whatever. It's like it was just radically accepting who you are in that moment, no matter what the circumstances are and no matter where you were going with your story and what you were doing with your life. So, that was like the first main steps. And then through that, it was being so fully honest with yourself and understanding that every time you come into a block or you've experienced something that's, stressful or triggering or whatever the case may be, it's accepting that that's okay and that you will make it through. But you have to also understand that when you go through that scenario, there's nothing that will help you other than your own help. Like you have to accept your own help, love yourself, and then move through all of that.
And I love that example that you gave us about someone saying, for example, you screwed up on this project, because words sometimes really have a powerful impact on a person. And sadly, it can go in a very negative and dark direction. But you've also shown a light on knowing oneself and kind of having that security of who you are, or for a person to have that self-awareness of who they are and what their truth is. So for you, how was it, I guess, rewiring your mind, your thinking from allowing words like that to screw up your day? And how were you able to empower yourself and not allow words like that to ruin your day?
Yeah, that's and it's honestly it's still an ongoing battle every single day, knowing that it's like I'm doing the best that I can, but it doesn't always mean that I'm doing the right thing every single time. Um, but the main steps to doing that is recognizing that, for one, it was like for me, my abusers, it's like I recognize that somebody did that to them. You know what I mean? And it's like somebody hurt them, and which means that they're perpetuating that. So I can choose to perpetuate the hurt and the anger and the fear and all of that, or I can choose to truly accept myself for who I am and say it doesn't matter what they say because it's only them perpetuating the lifestyle that they've been given. And it's it's a mind thing. Like it's certainly a whole completely mind game, but at the same time I just choose not to play into that and recognize that these people are just people that are hurting. It's never, and often it's a mirror for me to look and go, okay, well, what am I not doing, and what am I judging, or how am I perceiving this in a way that is my perception is my reality. So I I just choose to have a different reality than allowing everybody else to take my power away from me. I lived like that for way too long. So,
And right now, you just said some words that are very powerful, and it says, I can choose. You're giving yourself that freedom. But was that part of your vocabulary before I can choose?
no, no, I was very much a victim. I struggled for a lot of years. Like I never, like I said, I was 18 years before I ever told anybody what happened to me. And I chose to just ignore it, and by doing so became the victim because I created patterns within myself that were self-perpetuating. I was perpetuating the people I invited into my life. I was perpetuating the cycles of passing along the anger and shame to other people, and there was just a lot of like unfairness that I was creating in my life for myself, but I wanted to blame it externally. For sure, it was everybody else's fault, it wasn't mine. And so when I decided to take my power back and just live in my true authenticity, it changed absolutely everything. I was able to basically turn my entire life around, and very quickly when I decided to sit down and do that deep healing for myself.
Was there any experience that really sticks out to you, and maybe you can share it of that of an experience that you went through on this new path that you're on?
Yeah, so many. um, one of the big ones, like one of the big turning points in my life was I actually went to Ecuador, and I was going there because I wanted to sell cacao. So I was actually going to source my own supplier, going to go all organic and everything. Got there, and everything was a no. Absolutely everything was a no. It was like a blight had taken out like over 60% of the crops in the entire world, not just in Ecuador, but in the entire world. And just nobody had stock, and the meetings that we had set up just disintegrated. I run a company with my partner selling truck parts and stuff like that. And when I was gone, he was like, "Well, you've kind of made a mess of the books here." So when I came back, I was obviously disheartened. I had a great time in Ecuador, but disheartened because I had nowhere to go, and I thought this was going to be my step away from this other company. And then um, yeah, I come back and he goes, "Oh, yeah, no, this you can't go back to the office job that you were doing there, and like we're gonna put you back in the shop as a heavy duty mechanic." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, no problem, I don't mind that." And so I go back into the shop, and it wasn't long before I started screwing up there too. And so I realized that it was just like following me. It didn't matter. I was just running from my problems, and it was just like I just kept getting no's and following problems and creating issues. And so then And Neil says, okay, like enough. Like, and he's very good at pushing my buttons, as most partners are. And to the point of you're just like, I can't do this anymore. But he like pushed me to the point where I was like, you have to deal with this. You have to face these shadows that are coming up. And if you don't, then it's just going to keep these cycles are going to keep presenting themselves to us. And it was, fairly like difficult lessons like around like doing my books and finances and all these things. Like it was affecting absolutely everything in my life. And so when I went, he like pushed me to the point that I was like crying, and like I'm not mad at him. I'm grateful for him. But he pushed me to the point that I was crying so hard that my eyes were actually like swelled shut that night. And we talked and we'd found out that I actually never had grieved any of the things that had happened to me. So I went into a 3 week, like it was 3 weeks where I laid on the couch and did nothing but grieve and like go through all of the scenarios. I showed up for myself. I gave myself the love in those scenarios. And then as I came out of that, I was a completely different person. I came out of that giving myself all of the things that I needed when I was like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. And nobody had given it to me. So I showed up for myself in that. And then I came out of that and it was like almost instantaneous. Like things started to go in a completely different direction for me. I started Soul Oasis Healing. I started doing all these different markets and stuff, which I had never thought of doing. And then I had like all these amazing opportunities start popping up, like with this tour that we're doing. Yeah, just all these like podcasts. Like I never would have thought I would be telling my story to somebody outside of, my friend circle. But here I am.
Well, that's great that you're really seeing a new life for you, and you've taken some risk, leap of faith. But when you were getting on this journey, and like you mentioned, you're breaking away from the old cycles. Was there ever a part of you that wanted to go back to those old cycles?
Oh yeah, I fought like hell. Yeah. Neil would attest to that. I'm pretty sure I gave him a run for his money for a few months, years, probably. We've been together for it'll be 15 years this year. Yeah, for the most of the 15 years, I've given him a run for his money. And especially after I started, it's so easy to fall back into old patterns because it's like, oh, well, I'll just do this one day and it won't bother me for the next thing. And so, but you slide and then you recognize what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's the biggest reason. It's like, a lot of people like struggle with like just going to the gym, and it's like,
Mhm.
but what is their purpose for going to the gym? Like, is it because they want to lose weight? Well, why do you want to lose weight? And it's like, if you can find the underlying reason for all of those things and like your actual why and not just like the surface level why, then you can start to call yourself on that bullshit. Yeah, I had to do that lots.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. And now I wanted to get into Soul Oasis Healing. But before we do so, I wanted to ask you, what is your definition of a soul? What is it for you?
Oh, the soul for me is just like your higher self. It's what you've come here. It's almost like a contract that you've created to come here and learn in this life. And we come from everywhere. I don't know all of the things of where we come from, or I don't even pretend to know. But the soul is the essence of who you are. Long after you pass, your soul lives on. And that's what I truly believe that your soul is. It's just your higher purpose. Every time you make good strides in your life, it's your soul finally leading you, and you're listening to it versus the ego trying to drag you along.
Okay, no, I really I'm thankful for you giving me your answer because I have a variety of guests, different backgrounds, different faiths. Some may not have any faith, and that's cool. I'm just here to explore, and I'm thankful that you're able to really explain a bit about what you believe in a very respectful way, and really clear in your explanation. But now I wanted to also go back to the work that you do, and something that I read in your bio and your about is that reconnection. And so now that we know your meaning of soul, like the higher self, kind of our purpose or contract, how does one reconnect or discover one's soul in the first place, or one's true self in the first place?
It's a really good question, and it's different for everybody. My
Mm.
favorite reference though is, have you ever watched Runaway Bride? with like Julia Roberts.
Julie
And
Roberts and Steve Martin.
I don't know if it's Steve Martin. I have no idea. I'm
Or
really bad at
Cameron
actors.
Cameron Diaz.
Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, she goes
Okay.
in there. I don't know. I just know Julia Roberts because she like or no, no, it was there and it's gone. Anyway, she goes in and she's been married, almost married, like multiple times. But and then this reporter comes in and is like, "Well, I've been following you, and you like, X amount of egg or different kind of eggs depending on the person that you're with." And that made me think, like, there's actually something to that because I started looking at my own patterns in my life, going, well, what do I believe or what do I like because somebody else told me to like? And do I actually like it or did I just do it because that person told me? And now it's just part of my vocabulary, right? So when I talk about getting to know yourself and reconnecting you in a session with me, like a one-on-one session, usually your first one can last up to 4 hours. We really dive deep into what your beliefs are, where they came from, what your traumas are, all of these different things. But reconnecting you with your soul is learning how to like check into what you have taken on as a belief that maybe doesn't align with you anymore, or maybe never did, and you just did it to to hide your abandonment issues because if you didn't fit in, you wouldn't be part of that group or something. I'm not really sure where these come from, but everybody's is slightly different. So when these people come in and we talk about going into reconnecting themselves, that's what it is giving them the steps to learn how to figure out who they are, find out what eggs they like because they like them, not because they're with somebody else. But also even down to like, what TV shows do you like? What color do you like? Have you actually ever like looked at the colors of the rainbow and figured which one do I like, kind of thing, right? And do I like to be in nature? Do I not? Do I like reading? Do I not? And those things really, like, they sound so simple, but a lot of people can't answer them. It takes them months to fill out the worksheet that I have. And honestly, if anybody wants a worksheet, I have it for free on my website. And it's start there, get to know yourself, break that down, and then dive into what's underneath of all of that.
So that's a beautiful first step. That's a beautiful first step, getting to know oneself. And I think it's kind of um, it's not a surprise in the world that we live in that people are taking months at a time to respond, to fill out your worksheet, because with so many distractions and so many things to worry about, the news, often we forget the one thing that we have 24/7, and that is ourselves. So I think it's great that you're bringing this awareness that, hey, hold on, it's okay, take a break, get to know yourself, get to know what smells you like, or what food topping, what color it is. Because if you don't know yourself, who is it that you're showing to the world? It's like a mystery. But I really love how you're talking about reconnection. So my next question for you is, since we are talking about reconnection, what are some things that you've seen disconnect a person from their authentic self?
Oh, so many things is there as well. um, the ego is one. So allowing your protective mechanism to actually become in charge of you versus the other way around. I always like to tell people it's like, well, would you let your, security system run your life, or do you program it to how you want it to run your household? And it's like that's where your ego is. And if you can't figure out how to program your ego, that's when we get to talk. But that is a lot of the big one that disconnects people is their ego. And it's not necessarily like everybody's like, oh, well, I don't have an ego. I don't. In Canada, it's a thing. We, white sunglasses, jacked up truck driving around. It's like, that's ego, right? But that's not it. It's when you have that little voice in the back of your head going, hey, remember, there's like all these things that hurt you in the past. Now, you don't want to do this because that could happen again. And it's like your ego is literally just your alarm system. It's going, hey, there's something wrong and we need to do something. But when it's been hurt so badly, it takes over, and you allow it because you're terrified. You don't know what else to do. So you allow it to take over. But at some point it's no longer serving you in a way that's keeping you safe. It's taking over. So yeah, ego is probably the biggest one. And then, yeah, there's so many other ones. I could talk for hours on that one.
I looked at your information on your website, and I really loved what it has there about healing. And I even took some notes there. It says, healing is not about fixing what is broken. It's about rediscovering your strength, your purpose, and your light. How did you find the inspiration to put this in there? Because I think it is so true.
It's because I was always told that I was broken. And it's like, I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with anybody in this world. They just need their light relit. And it's like everything that we go through, there is no need to change or release it or let go of it. Everybody always talks about letting go and, changing and fixing the problem, but it's like the problem is not fixing what's broken. You're not broken. Like you've been through something, and it's like, and you just need love. That's it. That like there's literally nothing else that you need. It's to love yourself, love that trauma, and learn how to put it within your system to benefit you versus hurt you. So yeah.
And how does life look like now for you that you're helping people to rediscovering their strength, their purpose, and their light? How does that feel?
Well, okay. So yeah, you can ask my ego and it would be like, oh, it's so great. Yeah, everything is so good. It feels amazing. I'm on podcasts and going on tour. But the real thing is like my whole purpose in this life is not to take credit for that. And it's not for my ego. It's literally because I want people to know that they don't have to do it alone. There is no pain. And it's like, and I'm only here to be an example of what can happen when you work your way through that trauma and decide that it no longer controls you. So it's like, if you're asking me how I feel, my ego will tell you one thing, and then I'll just be like, no, it's okay. Calm down there, petty spaghetti, and we'll deal with this later. Yeah.
Well, that's great, the work that you're doing of helping people to rediscover their inner light and also finding peace with their self, with oneself. So if someone is interested in finding out what the heck does what does she do? Can you walk us through a bit about what it's like for someone who has no idea and what a, I guess, session or consultation looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do in person or distance. And I have the ability to tap into your energy wherever you are. So I'm not going to go into too much of that. I know there's lots of different belief systems in here, but I always have been told that it's like therapy on steroids. So I send you like a worksheet. We go through, it's pretty in depth. We talk about like your body, the physical symptoms that you're having. We talk about emotional and mental symptoms that you're having. And then we really like probably within the first appointment, typically I always recommend doing like the really long one, the 111-minute one, because it's like we dive into absolutely everything, like past traumas, and never deeper than what you're comfortable, obviously, but it is always just go as deep as you want, feel everything that is going on. And then after we go through all of the checklist, I am an angelic Reiki master. So then I put you on the table and help clear off the energy. I do different offerings and as well. That's my main one though, and the one that I spend the most time with for sure.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing. And is there a website or maybe a social media handle that you'd like to share for people to find you if they're interested in this?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is souloasis.ca. And then I am on all social media platforms, except for TikTok. I need to get on that one, but I haven't got there yet. But the rest of them is all Soul Oasis Healing, all the same names. So, yeah.
And do you only do this in Canada, or can someone maybe do it over Zoom and have a session with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I can do over Zoom as well. I have just expanded to that point. So yes, I am now accepting online bookings. So I can
Okay.
treat anybody in the world. Yeah.
And you did mention at the beginning, and you kind of stuttered a little bit, but about comedian, comedy. I forgot how exactly you worded it. But tell us, what is this project that you're doing, and where can we see you on tour?
Yeah, so it's all very new. We're releasing tour dates within the next week. But we will be touring Canada. It's called the Third Eye Rollers. So it's three mediums that we come with messages. So we, all three of us, have a really strong connection with God, source, spirit, whatever, your loved ones. It sometimes I know one of my friends connects with trees. So like there's literally, you can talk to anything you want. And so these people, it's just a, we're also pretty hilarious. I don't know if my humor's come through on this podcast as much as normal, but we're all pretty funny and we deliver the messages with a little bit of a punchline sometimes. So that's what our tour is going to look like, and we'll be touring starting January 3rd. Our kickoff party is December 31st. It will be in Calgary, Alberta, and then we will be going all across Canada this year. So yeah, pretty excited about that.
Any plans to go to Montreal, Quebec?
Yes, actually, Montreal is one of the places we plan on going.
Will it be a French event or will it still be in English?
It'll still be in English. I am unfortunately not bilingual, but our Bodhi, the one girl that is coming with us, pardon me, she's not a girl, she's a they, them. Um, they are coming with us, and she's actually from Montreal, which is why we're going there. So yeah, we're going to do that. So she said she would translate for anybody who speaks French.
Okay, perfect. So, thank you so much for sharing your light and sharing your truth. But now I have a question for you that I ask all of my guests, and that is, Olivia, what is your truth that heals?
My truth that heals is just honestly, just love yourself. There's nobody else that's there to do it for you. So love yourself. And then that way, wherever you go, you always have somebody in your corner. Because the moment you accept yourself, the moment you really have like a guiding team, you're pretty amazing. So there's no reason to change or do anything other than just love yourself and see what happens after you do that.
Oh, thank you so much, Olivia. And to those in the audience, those who have been tuning in, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, so that it helps the algorithm and all that cool stuff, and share this episode so that other people can discover the truth that heals presented by our guest today. And even if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave a review also and follow, so that this podcast, my little podcast, can start growing a little bit. So all the help that you do really goes a long way. And again, to our guest, Olivia, thank you so much for sharing your truth that heals on the Truth That Heals podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciated it.